Hello and welcome. This is Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to create a card with some foiling plates, but anything I foil in this video, you could use stamps and emboss them if you wanted to, or if you didn't have access to a foiling machine. It doesn't need to be foiled. These are new to me plates that I wanted to try out, and I had an idea for just doing a simple gift looking, or a card that looked like a gift or a present, and I thought it would be fun to use these all together. So I've got my machine all set up and warmed up. I place my foil. I usually tape it onto the cardstock and then put the foil in between my cardstock and my plate with the pretty side of the foil facing the plate. Then I put that plate on my Glimmer Machine that's heated up with the plate side down, paper side up, put the plates on top of it, press that timer machine. It flashes until it's ready. Once it's solid, then it's ready to go through the Big Shot machine. You need a foiling machine for the heat, and you need a die cutting machine for the pressure. So I'm using my Glimmer Machine as well as my Big Shot machine. Now that tag die that I just foiled, it's actually not meant for foiling. It's a Sizzix tag die, but I've seen it foiled before, so I thought I'd try it. There wasn't a whole lot of pressure with that and my machine. So next time I do it, I'm going to add an extra shim or something just to increase the pressure on it, and I think it would work a lot better. Once again, for what I'm doing, it worked. I just wanted to try it out and see. It's one that I've been meaning to try. So once I have all of my things foiled, I'm going to take the coordinating die with this sentiment set, and I'm going to cut all of those pieces out. While I have my Glimmer Machine warmed up, I always take my solid hot foil plate and do the negative images of the ones that I'm doing. That way there's no waste with the foil. I like the fact that I can do both the positive and the negative images and reduce any of the foil waste. Just makes it a little bit more worth it to me. So this Holiday Sentiments foil set has coordinating dies, and I love the fact that you can do several sentiments at once and you can die cut them all at once. Saves a whole lot of time. The tag die that was actually a die that I foiled. The solid part of it, I'm just using it for the rivet parts of that tag. In the end, it's going to get covered, so this point or that step was kind of a wasted step. But if you're doing a tag and you want to be able to see that, it's just a nice way to completely coordinate everything together. That way your foiling and the rivet part for the tag matches. So I've got a lot of holiday sentiments here done in one easy step, done the positive as well as the negative. It's nice to have the option of choosing the positive or the negative when you are card making, because sometimes one will work better than the other. So it's nice to have those options. And with all these excess sentiments, I can put them in a little container and just have them ready to go. For my tag, I'm just adding that little rivet foiled piece on, and then I'm going to use my mini trimmer and just trim that tag down. Now, the die that I used for this to foil it was a die, but if I go and cut it, I'm going to cut that outline foil piece. So by using the mini trimmer, I still have that foiled line there, and I'm not completely losing it. The line in the inside of that foiled tag didn't completely foil, so it's not a solid line. So I definitely wanted to have that solid one on the outside there. Now I'm going to use this bow die. This is the first time I've actually used the die. I bought it last year, but I hadn't actually pulled it out to use it. So I'm going to organize my dies, and it says right on the back which color it is. There's 3 different colors that it asks for, a red 1, red 2, and red 3, and it doesn't have to be red. I have one of my layers that I'm doing in gold because I want to tie it in with that foiling. So when I do that, I organize my dies, I put them with the cardstock that I want to cut with that, and I grab my cardstock and then I start cutting them out. So I'm showing you the first one. The other ones I'm going to do off camera because it's fairly repetitive. These dies go together really, really easily. The one thing to know though, for this particular die set, the layer 2 and layer 3 has a kind of a V-shaped die, and it'll make sense in a moment. You need to cut those ones twice. If you want to have the bow wrapping around something, that needs to be cut twice. You only get one of each of those dies, so you do need to do it twice, which is not a big deal. So I'm taking my layers and I'm gluing them together. I'm gluing them together with some distressed collage medium. That way I can shimmy it into place. And in the end, I put this gold on top of this red a little bit too soon. The other layer actually had to go in between it. And because I used that liquid glue, I could easily pull it up a bit and tuck the other piece in. Because this is the first time I've used that die, I didn't realize that I was going to have to do that. And I was just going in layer order or whatever, but it's okay. Once I have my pieces glued together, I'm just putting them all together and putting an acrylic block on it. That way it can hold those pieces down flat while the glue is drying. These ribbon pieces here, I know I'm going to be cutting them shorter once I glue them to the front of my card, but I don't know which pieces or where it's going to be cut shorter. So I'm just going to glue them all together and I can trim off any excess. These dies are so easy to add the different layers to. I love the fact that you get these extra details and you get the color dimension with different shades of whatever color you chose. And they're really so easy to use. This bow set is very easy to put together and to figure out exactly where it goes together. When you die cut these dies, there's little lines that show you where those layers go. So there's very little guesswork to it, which is really nice to not have to try to figure it out and guess where pieces are going to go. The odd time with some of these layering dies, I have to look at the picture that comes with it to see exactly how a layer fits together. But most of the time it's pretty intuitive and pretty easy to figure out. So now I'm going to take that foiled plaid piece and I'm going to assemble my bow on it. Now here is where I wasn't thinking properly. I went and I twisted it so that bow was kind of twisted to the side so that that tag would fit properly on the front of a card. However, if this foiled rectangle was actually a gift, I highly doubt that that bow would be so cockeyed like that. So in the end, once I'm completely done, I realized what I did. But at this point, my focus was on making sure I had enough room for that tag die. Just know this ahead of time. So if you're if something like that is going to bother you at the end, you're aware of it at this stage so that you can remedy it. I had a tiny little bit of ink on that center of the foil tag, so I just took a sand eraser and sanded it off, cleaned it right up, cut off the excess pieces from those ties that I said were going to be a little bit too long, and now I'm going to glue that tag to the gift part of the card, putting my acrylic block on between each and every layer so that it can hold it in place. Then I'm going to put the bow ties, the little ribbon ends on, and then after that I'm going to add the top of the bow to it. I want to put those ties on first because I want them below the bow, and the nice thing about them being separate is you can pick and choose where they hang off of. You can have both of them hanging off the bottom like I have here. You can have one going out the top, so you have a lot of control and a lot of variety that you can do with this. Now I'm going to add my Merry Christmas foiled sentiment to that tag. Once again, any of these foiled areas, you could stamp and emboss. It doesn't need to be foiled. And that layer of gold cardstock with my bow was just a mirror gold cardstock that I had. If you wanted, it could be all 3 different versions of regular cardstock. You can stop here, but I wanted to add a little bit of greenery to that bow and just have a little bit more dimension to it. I kind of thought everything was a little bit too red, white, and gold, and I wanted to incorporate a different color, and I figured this was the easiest way by adding a little bit of holiday greenery. So I'm using a Spellbinders die. It has lots of different varieties of holiday greens to it. I'll have everything listed and linked down below. I think it's called Holiday Greens, but my mind is going a little bit blank right now. I love these dies though because they're great for die cutting scrap cardstocks that you might have, and you can see how if an area or if one of the pieces is a little bit too long, it's easy just to break a piece off, shorten it. This is all, that center piece is going to all be covered by a poinsettia, so you're never going to know that that was shortened or altered in any way. But it just adds a little bit more of a festive touch, in my opinion, to the card, and I really like the touch that it adds. That poinsettia is covering the center of everything, and then I'm going to put a gem from Pink Fresh Studios in the center of it. You could also add stickles in the center instead, or you could use some liquid pearls or Nouveau drops, something like that. Just something to cover up the center of that die cut. And there we have a finished simple holiday card. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you.